everyone. If you weren't able to join us this evening for the fifth grade class trip information session, we wanted to make sure that everyone got all of the information. So we're going to do a quick video just to go over everything. This is Miss Maria Braswell. I am one of the fifth grade teachers.
And I am Stuart Ogburn, here to help as well. And I am also a fifth grade teacher.
So to start off, we just wanted to go over a quick overview of the trips that we have coming up. So we've already attended our escape room team building field trip in August, and then we also attended the Bremen Museum to learn about the Holocaust in conjunction with our conflicts unit in September, and we had a great time at both of those field trips. But coming up in November, we will be attending Montgomery to go learn about civil rights as part of our rebellion unit. In January, we will be going to the Federal Reserve to learn about the U.S. economy as part of our economics unit. We will then be attending a program at Zoo Atlanta that is a hands-on program to help students learn about how scientists classify different organisms and different species as part of our systems unit. And the highlight of our year will be our overnight trip to the U.S. Space and Rocket Center in Huntsville, Alabama, where we will attend Space Camp. And this is connected to our innovation unit, where we will discuss different inventors, innovations, and history, as well as the space race. And then our final curricular field trip will be during our expressions unit. We will go to Whole World Improv, and we will get to see an improv show, but we will also get to participate in an improv workshop, which will be a really great opportunity for our students. And to end the year in May, we will be going back to Sparkles this year to do some more team building, which is a field trip that we really look forward to. So Montgomery, we will be heading out to Montgomery on Monday, November 5th. And this field trip is our extended day field trip, which means that we are going to depart for the field trip before school begins, and we will return from the field trip after school has ended. So our departure will be promptly at 7 a.m., which means that students need to arrive between 6:30 and 6:45. When they arrive, they will be checked in by the teachers, and then they will immediately load the buses. So students cannot ride the bus that morning as the school buses arrive after 7 a.m. So it's really important to note that you will need to drop your child off that morning if they are attending this field trip. Pickup will be between 8:30 and 9 p.m. So for this field trip, there is a time change as we will be traveling into Central Time and then returning and switching back to Eastern Time. So we gave a little range of time for pickup because traffic can always be interesting. So we just want to make sure that we have a little window of time there. But drop off and pickup will take place in the back of the school at the ASP entrance or the former entrance of the school. So you will need to bring your child and drop them off back there and then also pick them up. When you pick them up, you will need to sign your child out with your child's teacher. Your child's safety is our number one concern. So we want to ensure that all of our students go home with a person that is supposed to be picking them up. So we will have a checkout system where you will just sign your child out. So please be sure and do that on the day of the field trip.
On the field trip, we will be visiting several museums. We will begin by visiting the Civil Rights Museum, the Southern Poverty Law Center, the Rosa Parks Museum, and the Slavery and Civil War Museum. Students will be guided by a tour guide or by several tour guides throughout the museums and learn more about the civil rights movement and why it is important.
The meals for the trip, because we are departing before school begins, students are unable to eat breakfast at school as they normally do if that is your choice to have them eat at school. So on the day of this trip, they will need to eat breakfast on their own before they arrive. For lunches, we are asking that you either send a packed lunch for your child, or if you prefer, you can order a sack lunch and we will send home a pre-order form. We will turn that into the cafeteria the week before the trip, and then that Monday they will have all of the lunches ready for us to load onto the bus. The price of dinner was included in the price of this field trip, so students will receive dinner as part of this experience. So snacks, it's perfectly fine to send in a snack for your child. We will bring a container to hold all of the student snacks, and if you want to send in a water bottle for them, that would be ideal, as that can be refilled, and it's a great choice for them to have some water throughout the experience.
And now we're going to talk about the highly anticipated Space Camp field trip, which is a 3-day and 2-night trip in late March from the 20th through the 22nd. On this field trip, students are going to be able to have so much fun. I mean, they are going to simulate a space mission and train like an actual astronaut and become part of that mission control and flight crew. They'll also be able to build a model rocket, participate in the 5 Degrees of Freedom chair and the multi-axis trainer, which will be super exciting, and I know a lot of them are already looking forward to that. Here is the sample program itinerary. Students will begin their day bright and early, around 7 a.m., and then they will go through each activity with a camp counselor who will guide them through each activity. Chaperones will help out, of course, and they will end their day around 9:30, so they will be pretty much exhausted by the end of their day, and we are just super excited. We know it's going to be a super fun time, and the kids are going to learn so much from real-life NASA astronauts. I mean, this is like a dream come true for the kids, but it's like really exciting for me and some of us teachers as well.
So here are the accommodations, some pictures of the accommodations for Space Camp. So at Space Camp, students stay in rooms that they call habitats. So this gives you an idea of what it looks like. These are also the shower facilities. As you can see, it's very similar to what you would expect from a camp style setup. So it's important to note that the habitats are separated by gender. So that applies to both students and chaperones. So male students will be housed in the male habitat with male chaperones. Female students will be housed in the female habitat with female chaperones. As Mr. Ogburn said, lights out is at 9:30. A packing list will be provided closer to the trip date. So we will send home a packet as the trip approaches that will include the permission slip, some important forms regarding medication that we will talk about in just a moment, packing list, and all of the logistical information about arrival and departure for the trip. Meals are included in the cost of our Space Camp trip, and it's important also to make note that students with dietary restrictions can be accommodated. The way that we submit those dietary restrictions is we use the information that's provided on the student clinic cards and on all of the beginning of the year documentation that was submitted to the teachers. So if you did not make note of an important dietary restriction on those information sheets, please get in contact with your child's teacher to make sure that they have the most accurate and up-to-date information, because as we approach the date for the trip, we will submit the dietary restrictions list to the Space and Rocket Center, and we want to ensure that students who have dietary needs that might be a little bit different are accommodated.
Here's some of the sample meals. They look really delicious and nutritious, as you can see.
In terms of medication, there is a nurse on site at the Space and Rocket Center. If your child needs medication to be administered to them, that will actually go through the teachers. So there's some really important paperwork that gives the teachers the authority to dispense medication to students. So that will come with that packet as we approach the date for the trip. So it's really important to understand that students, outside of students with asthma who have inhalers, students cannot carry medication on their person. It doesn't matter if it's a prescription medication or something over the counter like Tylenol. Students just simply are not allowed to have that. They're not permitted to have that on their person or in their bags. All of the medication of any kind needs to be, we need to have documentation for it. That needs to be properly filled out, and it needs to be given to the teacher the morning of the trip. We have a lockbox where we keep all of the medication and all of the medication regimens for each student, so that we can make sure we dispense the medication at the appropriate dosage at the appropriate time each day. So that is really, really important. Again, we mentioned before, safety is our #1 priority, and we certainly want to keep our students safe. And by having the medications in our possession and control, we are able to do that more effectively. Another safety concern for us is in regards to cell phones. So as you know, cell phones are wonderful. They allow our students to communicate with their parents, which is very important. But at the same time, cell phones give students access to the internet. And there are a lot of things on the internet that are not safe for students. So we want to ensure that students do not have cell phones with them on the trip. If students need to get in contact with their parents, they will be able to do so via one of the adults on the trip. So either a teacher, an administrator, or a chaperone will be able to communicate. We will also set up a communication channel to post pictures so that the parents can see what's going on. And there is a Remind group that has been set up for the 5th grade class. If you have not joined it, I highly encourage you to do so. That is a Remind system where we can send text blasts to everyone. And that's where we will communicate that we've arrived safely and that we're departing so that everyone can be in the know about what's going on. So all of that information will be sent in an email from the classroom teacher. So be on the lookout for that.
So at the beginning of the year, you and your student signed a behavior contract which went over the expectations for their behavior throughout the year in order to participate on the field trip. So we just wanted to remind you about this expectation and that it involves their behavior at school as well as on the bus. So if you have any questions about that, please let one of us know.
So chaperones, we know there's a lot of interest in chaperoning. So this gives you information about the costs. So for Montgomery, there's 2 different prices because you have the option of either eating the group meal that is being provided by the restaurant. That's something that they've pre-selected and pre-prepared. You can select from one of those options, or if you would like to order off the menu, you certainly can do that, but that would be at your own expense. For Space Camp, it's $350, and that includes your meals over the 3 days that we are at camp. So in the email that you'll receive from your classroom teacher, there will be a document entitled What to Expect When Chaperoning, and that really just lays out the expectations of what it means to be a chaperone on trips like this. The big highlights of that, as a chaperone, you are the primary supervising adult. So as we mentioned, students are placed in groups. So the teachers, our students may not all be in the same group. So as teachers, we float around and support the different groups throughout the day, but we are not necessarily assigned to a specific group because our students are spread out. So as the chaperone, you are the one that is assigned to the group of students to support them throughout the daytime and overnight. Teachers are not permitted to be housed with students. So the chaperones are the ones who chaperone them overnight in the habitats. So that's just a really important thing to recognize and to be aware of when signing up. Safety, again, is a priority, and as a chaperone, you will work with the teachers and the administrators that will be present to ensure the student's safety. And also, we really just want to make sure that as a chaperone that you have fun, that this is something that's enjoyable for you because, you know, you are a part of this community and we want you to enjoy it just as much as we and the students enjoy it. And finally, just one thing to point out, if your child is of a different gender than you, in the daytime, you certainly can be grouped with them and do all of the activities, but at night you would not be able to be housed in the habitat with your child. So that's just something to consider when you're deciding whether or not you'd like to chaperone. So just a quick update on the 5th grade fund. With our commitment to offset $100 per student, we started off with a pretty lofty fundraising goal, but then added to that, we have had a really high participation. We have 100% participation this year. So with that, we do have a high volume of students who are requesting financial assistance. So when we total those things together, our fundraising goal for this year is $25,000. Currently, with our initiatives, we've raised $7,200. So we are well on our way to reaching our goal. In order to continue to support our 5th grade fund, we have organized several fundraising initiatives. So you will be seeing lots of information coming in about these fundraisers. But most importantly, when supporting these fundraisers, we need your help. So we need your help volunteering. We know we've had some parents ask about corporate matching. If you make a donation to Teasley and you put in the line item that you would like for it to go to the fifth grade fund, that will be sufficient so that your corporation can match it.
Most importantly, though, we need your help spreading the word to our community and to your family, anyone who can help us out and support our fundraising efforts. If you have any questions, please email your child's teacher, or you can direct Miss Braswell or myself directly. And thanks for watching our little screencast.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us and listening to this. Most importantly, we just want to say thank you very much for all that you do to support our fifth grade class. We certainly could not do any of this without your support. So on behalf of all of us, on behalf of the entire fifth grade team, thank you so much for all that you do.